Welcome back to my wrestling addiction. Since my little foray into wrestling, so many people have commented and reached out and suggested different matches they want me to watch. And so today, I'm gonna watch those. Before we get into it, I do want to address something you all were making fun of me for in my last WrestleMania video. I have to grab a sheet of paper for this. I'm gonna write something down. I want you all to just walk with me for a second. This word? Roll. Okay? This word. Rolling. Okay? Rolling. Rolling. Okay? Do you see where I'm going with this? So by the, like, transitive property or whatever, this would be Rollins, right? Okay, and I know what you're saying. You're like, Brie, it's his last name. He can spell it however, or pronounce it however he wants. I know, I understand. But y'all were making such fun of me for thinking this was Rollins, when this is rolling. I refuse to believe that y'all are rolling down the hill, babe. Okay? We're not rolling down the hill. Someone tried to say I was pronouncing it like this. That's rowling. We have one of those. She sucks. Do I know it's Rollins now? Yes. Do I still want to pronounce it Rollins? Also, yes. Anyway, just wanted to come on here and defend myself, okay? Because I'm stupid and that was dumb. Okay, usually the only other reaction video I did was for Subnautica. You can find that in the description, I guess. I don't know if you care. And typically I have it full screen and I have me little screen. But the thing that happened with my last video on wrestling was that the copyright gremlins for WWE are like, they're really adamant. They'll get ya. I think what I figured out is that if I put it here, the content ID won't get so mad at me, and it should be fine. So it didn't work. I did in fact record my reaction to 3 different matches, and then I edited and rendered and uploaded that footage, but as you're probably familiar with the absolute gorilla grip that WWE has on its copyright, that did not work out so well for me. I do not know how some of you are getting away with doing reaction videos. I can't figure it out, but it's fine. Okay, I can pivot. I love redoing work. So instead of raw dogging this reaction, I will once again give you my personal play-by-play of how I perceived the 3 matches that I did watch, and then I will splice in my reaction and include minimal copywritten footage. I actually think this has potential to be even cooler. I think it could be like a watch along with me sort of thing, right? Where you could put the matches on in a separate screen or like on a separate device, and then you could just watch along with me while I talk about them. It's kind of like if you watch The Wizard of Oz while you listen to Pink Floyd's The Wall, but like way fucking stupider. Anyway, let's get balls deep into it.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The first match I wanted to watch right out the gate was, of course, the custody ladder match of Dominic Mysterio with Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. Ooh, yep, you can start typing in the comments, that's okay. For those that may be unfamiliar, this is the match between the stepdad and the dad who stepped up. That's not actually accurate. The claim is that Eddie was actually Dom's dad, but he gave him up, I think, or something like that, and Ray just like raised him until he was 8-ish, and then for some reason, I actually did not get the lore on this, Eddie Guerrero was just like, you know what I would love? A bratty little 8-year-old. I want that back in my life. Get on in here. And when people describe this to me as a custody match, I thought that this meant like whoever wrestled the other into submission, right? Whoever pinned the other person would win custody of Dominic. But I soon found out that was so fucking silly of me to assume.
That briefcase, which includes the custody papers of 8-year-old Dominic.
Okay. The briefcase has the custody papers. Okay. I don't know why I didn't realize that was the thing. I thought they were just like, oh, whoever beats the other person into submission, like, you've earned it, bud. But the custody papers are in the case. Okay, that's cool. I love it. So Eddie steps out and immediately everyone is like, fuck this guy. I didn't look much into Eddie before watching this, but from all of the clips I had seen and obviously from this entrance, it put him pretty firmly in heel category. Even the announcers were like, oh yeah, this is dirty, this is the worst, how could he take Dominic away from Ray? So they were leaning hard into this. So Eddie walks out. Huge fucking dude, by the way, absolutely massive, and he just books it straight for Dominic to give him like a warm fatherly head pat. It also took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that this child was Dominic Mysterio. Oh, is that Dom? Oh, that's Dom! Oh my god! I for a minute was like, why is he being so mean to this random kid? But then his little baby face is like unmistakable. And then it was time for Ray's entrance, and I'm not even gonna like make a joke out of it because it was so sick. He comes over, he gives Dom a little kiss. It makes me go, aw, and I make this face a whole bunch of times because Dom is such a little baby and I can't handle how fucking cute he is. I can't tell if Dom was just a great little actor at that age or if part of him really did believe that this was gonna be the results if Ray lost, which sounds to me fucking traumatizing, but that's showbiz, baby. We get to wrestling. And as with the other ladder match that I got to watch for WrestleMania, this made me so incredibly nervous. I also just cried a lot about Baby Dom, especially this part towards the middle where he goes and shakes the ladder and tries to get Eddie off of it from getting the custody papers. That was so sweet. Why'd they have to do that to my heart like that? Eddie then gets down from the ladder and he is like yelling at Dominic, and it gives me my absolute favorite line from any match I've seen so far.
Give me a hug!
There, guys, there's no better way to get a kid to hug you by yelling, "Give me a hug." That was so funny. I gotta hand it to Eddie. He makes a phenomenal villain. And I think it's around this time that I think to myself, hey, I don't think I've seen Eddie in anything recently. He must be retired, right? Is he dead? Is he dead? Oh God, I hope he's not dead. Now I gotta search it because I'm gonna feel bad if he's dead. Eddie Guerrero. Death? Oh no, is he actually? Oh, he died in 2005. He was 38? Oh my gosh, he had acute heart failure. That's so sad. Oh my God. Okay, well, let's finish the last 3 minutes of this match. That's really upsetting. So that was a little bit of a bummer. After a lot of back and forth and another critical interruption from Eddie's wife, which I absolutely love, Ray finally gets the custody papers. He gets down. Dominic gets in the ring. They hug each other. It's very sweet. Ray's wife comes out. I love it so much. And that was pretty much that match. It's been about 2 months since I put out that WrestleMania video, since my first like foray into wrestling, and a lot of people have been asking and sending me videos still of like, oh, are you still watching? What do you think of this? Blah, blah, blah. And I just want to say, I have seen so many interviews with Ray and Dom like separately, and the way that Ray talks about Dom and his career in wrestling right now is so fucking sweet. I got a hell of a lot of respect for Rey Mysterio for doing this for this long and for getting to kind of watch his son follow in his footsteps in a parallel and also almost opposite way. Anyway, I'm a sucker for a father-son thing. That's on me. This was cute. I enjoyed it. So that match may have pulled on my heartstrings, but this next match was pulling on some other part of my body entirely. Tons and tons of people suggested the WrestleMania 39 match between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, and for good reason, because everyone now knows how much I love mommy. I had never seen Charlotte before, but I did confirm that she is not dead, so that made automatically this whole situation like a little less of a bummer to watch. I also think this match just made me a fan of Charlotte in general. I would love to see more of her matches, so if you have other suggestions with Charlotte, let me know, because she is a badass. Something about her and Rhea and just being two very like strong, dominant women going against each other, like that was one of the more interesting women's matches I think I've ever seen. So Charlotte's a badass, and then Rhea, y'all can guess how I felt about Rhea. Oh my God, she looks incredible. My God. She is just she's so fine. Drooling aside, I did have so many people recommend this match just because Rhea is such a superstar, and so many people had been saying that she was the one that got them back into wrestling, and I can absolutely see why. Hearing the crowd go nuts for her despite being like a heel character, I don't actually know if she's considered a heel. She is part of Judgment Day, which is like heel types, like, I don't know. I guess she's a heel, but like hearing people go crazy for her and love her the way that they do, like, you're a good ass heel if that's what's happening. Anyway, you could cut the tension of this match with a knife. So much intense staring, so much shit talking. At one point, Rhea does this. There was so much hair pulling, constant shoving, just action all the way through. Charlotte ends up taking this move to the face, and it like skins the bridge of her nose on the mat, and it looks so fucking painful. And it continues to kind of bleed a little bit through the rest of the match, but I have to admit, it looked so badass. Charlotte kind of reminds me of like a lioness. I can't describe it. Like, and maybe that's a very cliche thing to compare a female wrestler to, but like, she just has that energy. Like I said, I just loved watching two very dominant presenting women in the ring like this. And that's not to say that other women wrestlers are not dominant, but there is something about Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. The match finishes up. Charlotte gets knocked out on the ropes. Rhea does her little finishing pin with the both legs up, and then when she wins, she's just the fucking cutest. Oh my God. Anyway, that was fun to watch. I am going to go back and watch more Rhea stuff later, but you can bet your fucking ass I am so excited for SummerSlam. So excited for SummerSlam. Amidst all of this Liv Rhea stuff that's been going on, I'm excited to see Rhea wrestle, of course. I really want her to win, of course. But I have so much respect for Liv Morgan as an actress, as a wrestler. Like, I'm just stoked to see these two go up against each other. It'll be cool. I'm sure I'll talk about it. Anyway, moving on. Last, but certainly not least, so many people, I think this was the most requested match. So many people wanted me to watch the Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell. They were noting it as one of the most brutal matches in WWE history, so I was prepping myself for a bloodbath. Now, this was not technically my first time watching a Mick Foley match. I was on a podcast last month called Somewhere in the Ring. You should absolutely check them out. They're wonderful, and I had so much fun talking wrestling with those guys. But I got a chance to watch the Triple H versus Cactus Jack match, and so though I have not seen Mankind before, I have seen one of Mick Foley's characters, so I sort of knew what I was gonna get myself into. That match was particularly brutal. That was definitely the most brutal thing I had seen so far, and that was my first exposure to the thumbtacks. Which I hated, and spoilers, I got to see them again. So this was my first time watching Mick Foley wrestle as Mankind, and I was just interested to see what those two different characters were gonna look like. This was also my first time watching The Undertaker, which I was really excited about because many of the things I've heard, the interviews I've seen with him, whatever, his whole vibe, I just kind of figured he would be someone that I would end up liking. The promo at the beginning absolutely killed me. I got to experience the full unhinged mic work of Mankind, and I loved that so much. The Uncle Paul storyline that I had absolutely no context for, fucking incredible.
And then you went and attacked my Uncle Paul.
Oh my God, Uncle Paul, no. Undertaker, please. I had heard these types of things were super common back then, where wrestlers would just go after other wrestlers like family and friends. And I guess I sort of got to see that sort of like behind the scenes vengeance violence thing with the Cody Rhodes and The Rock thing for WrestleMania. Either way, Uncle Paul took me the fuck out. I thought that was so funny. I loved it. Anyway, Mankind comes out. He is immediately climbing the cage, because why would he not be doing that? It was actually really silly of me to assume that he would just walk in the door, because why would he do that? He also throws a chair up on top of the cage, so I can imagine that will end well. Now, my only exposure to The Undertaker thus far has been WrestleMania 40. It was very brief, but I already loved his whole character. The bell, the outfit, the hair, iconic. I will admit, it was a little jarring to watch him come out in this like dope ass robe, and I'm like, oh, he's gotta have something cool under there. And then he takes it off and he's wearing like black jeans and this Robin Hood ass looking Men in Tights shirt. I'm not hating it. I love it. It was just funny. Anyway, of course, Undertaker starts climbing on up there. Okay, they get to wrestling. The cage is breaking, which is making me incredibly nervous. And then what happens next, I knew would happen. It had to, right? The only reason you get on top of the cage is to fall off of it. And somehow I was still not mentally prepared. The Undertaker pushes Mankind off of the cage, which is 16 feet high, and he falls and breaks through a table. Mick Foley is not a small man, okay? He hit that table hard. And I'm so used to seeing wrestlers get up in like 1 to 2 minutes. Like they'll be like, oh, ow, that hurt, and it probably did. But then they'll shake it off and be like, all right, I'm ready to go. But this one was happening for so long, to the point where I was like, oh my God, he's fucking dead. Oh, that was so far to fall. That was so far to fall. That was so far to fall. Like, I knew it was high up, but holy shit. 16 feet? We've just started. Like, we're not even, there's been no actual, like, grappling or anything going on. We've just started on a lot. Do you think at any point the Undertaker was like, oh no, did I actually kill him? I'm starting to, like, doubt if people wanted me to watch this because it was brutal, or if it's actually where Mick Foley just gets so fucking hurt. Like, I had to assume it was supposed to happen. You don't just casually and accidentally throw someone off of a cage for funsies. You gotta know that you're not gonna kill that person. But also, I couldn't tell if he had killed that person. I cannot imagine that he didn't take fall damage, right? That was crazy. They replayed it from every angle possible, and it was horrifying every single time. Anyway, this goes on for like 4.5 minutes, to the point where I'll show you the clip. I was was concerned. Meanwhile, they're trying to get Mankind on the gurney, and the cage just starts raising with the Undertaker still on it. Like, just a little, just like a couple feet. Where are they going? And then eventually it comes back down, and everyone's kind of like, why? And it was never explained. And I don't know why that happened. So if you know why that happened, let me know in the comments. I'm so confused. To my relief and horror, Mankind gets off the gurney and starts to climb the little cage again. So here we go, part 2. And as they start to tussle, yet again, Mankind gets thrown onto the top of the cage. And this time it breaks, and he takes another incredibly hard fall onto the mat. Now, I thought this was supposed to happen, and I was told recently that it was not. And apparently that fall really fucked Mick Foley up. Watching that back and knowing it wasn't supposed to happen made that fall look just so much more brutal. The Undertaker gets down, he assaults a ref and like a paramedic or whoever this guy is, I don't actually know. Mankind gets up. They wrestle for a little bit more, and then my least favorite thing in wrestling is introduced. The bag. The bag of fucking thumbtacks. I will take ladders and chairs and tables literally any day, but the thumbtacks, bro? The thumbtacks?
Banana bread! I fucking worked up!
The thumbtacks make me want to die. In the grand scheme of these horrible falls and taking all these hits, like, are the thumbtacks probably a big deal? Maybe not. There's probably enough adrenaline in your system to get you through it, I guess. But watching them slam each other into a bed of thumbtacks, they're like stuck in their arms and their face and their feet, and oh God. If you can imagine, after the thumbtacks are introduced, it's pretty much close to the end for someone, and the Undertaker drops Mick Foley right on his nog, and then he pins him, and it's real cute. I love the way he pins him. I assume that's like his signature pin, which I don't know if I've seen a whole lot of people have like a signature pin, except for maybe Rhea. Maybe I'm wrong, but the little foldy arms like he's in a coffin, very cute, 10 out of 10. And the match finishes up, and how brutal it was. I will say that the match, in terms of stunts, was definitely the most extreme that I had watched, but I was surprised at... Am I gonna get crucified for saying this? There wasn't like a ton of wrestling, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of extreme shit followed by Mankind being like a little dead for a little bit. So when people were describing this as a really brutal match, I was imagining something a little bit closer to when I watched Cactus Jack and Triple H. And I think I just think of that as brutal because it was a little more fast paced. It probably wasn't as extreme in terms of like stunts, but there was definitely like, there was blood, there were thumbtacks, there was barbed wire. Like that match to me felt pretty damn brutal. But I can absolutely see why this is considered the most extreme. The stamina and the balls that it takes to do stunts like that, insane. Anyway, I very much enjoyed getting a little bit more of my WWE education. A few people have asked if I'm still watching. The answer is yes. We don't have cable because that shit's expensive as fuck, but I do end up watching it on Hulu the day after, and any of the pay-per-views we typically go over to our friend's house and we watch as a group. So we just watched Money in the Bank. That women's ladder match was it was brutal. It was super fun to watch. I think that was the best match of the night. I'm a little bit biased. I love me some Chelsea Green. I've also been keeping up with a bunch of the storylines and a bunch of behind the scenes stuff via Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Like all of my social media feeds are just all wrestling all the time. I can see 100% why the community is so big and so passionate, because this shit's just fun. Like, I'm having a really great time. I am surprised at how easy it was to get into it and how much enjoyment I'm getting out of it. I have a couple more ideas for some wrestling videos I would like to make in the future. I have some other videos coming out as well that are not wrestling. But either way, I appreciate you sticking around and watching my content anyway. It's been a wild couple of months. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you want me to watch other matches, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!